Students, welcome you all in your online class. Dear student, in the previous class we have studied that is there are two factors, mass and change in speed of an object, which helps to determine the magnitude of a force. And force are having both magnitude as well as direction. We know that is magnitude means the numerical value, that is a number. And we have also studied that is there is a device named spring balance which can be used to measure the magnitude of force. And we have studied the unit of force. The SI unit of force is Newton, and 1 Newton is the force which is used to produce an acceleration of 1 meter per second square in a body of mass 1 kg. Today's topic of discussion are that is the balanced and unbalanced forces and their different effects. Now students, there are so many cases when there are more than one force may act on an object at the same time. Now the net resultant, that is the total of those forces which are acting on an object at the same time, that may be a balanced force or that may be an unbalanced force. Firstly, let us understand the meaning of balance and unbalanced with the help of an activity. Explain the meaning of balanced and unbalanced. I have taken some objects here at a scale, a normal scale of 15 centimeter. This is the lid of a bottle, and I have taken here 3 matchboxes of same size and same mass. Now firstly, you are supposed to be put this scale on the lid of the bottle in such a way that is the part of the scale on both sides of this bottle cap, it may be equal. And next I have put matchboxes on one matchbox on the both ends of the scale, and here you can see that is scale is balanced. Why it is balanced? Because the mass which is kept on both sides of the scale is equal, so you can consider it as an example of a balanced force in which the force acting on both the ends is equal and same in magnitude. Now what happens if we change the force on one side, if we change the mass on one side? Now for this I am going to put one more matchbox on one side of the scale. Now you can see that is the scale loads down on one side. Why it happens? Because now this side the magnitude of force increases. Now here we are having 2 matchboxes. It means the force acting on this direction is more as compared to the force acting on the other side in which we are having only one matchbox. Okay, now you here see that is the scale loads down on the side in which we are having the more force. It shows that is the effect of force is always in the direction in which the magnitude of force is more. I hope so. You can see here, if I'll remove this, it becomes balanced, and if I'll again put it, it becomes unbalanced. So I think this activity will help you to understand the meaning of balance and unbalanced forces. I hope you will understand the meaning of balanced and unbalanced with the activity which we have done. So students, firstly we will discuss that is what do you mean by the balanced force. For this I have taken consider an example. Suppose we are having an object, and on this object 2 forces F1 and F2 are acting on 2 sides. Let the magnitude of F1 is 1 Newton and F2 is again 1 Newton. Now to find the resultant force, that is to find the total force which acts on this object, what we are supposed to be do, the formula to find out the total force, that is F is the resultant force. F is equal to F1 plus F2. Okay, now next what we are supposed to be do, we are supposed to be put the values. So it is 1 Newton with plus sign plus. Now here one more point which you are supposed to be remember. If I'll take one direction as positive and if the force is acting in opposite direction, so if one direction is positive then other is negative. the opposite of positive is negative. Day is night. Similarly, if the forces are acting in the opposite direction, then if one force is taken as positive, then another force which is acting in opposite direction to the force that is taken as negative. So here I'll put it's minus 1 Newton. Why I put minus sign in front of this 1 Newton? Because this F2 जो force है, that is acting opposite to the direction of force F1. Now you are simply add it 1 Newton minus 1 Newton. Now what is the net resultant? It is 0. It means the forces are said to be balanced forces if the net resultant of all the forces acting on an object is 0. Okay, here I have taken only 2 forces. You can consider more than 2 forces. There may be 3 forces, maybe 4, maybe 5, maybe 10, maybe 100. Okay, but the net resultant of these forces always comes out to be 0 in case of balanced force. Now, as the net resultant of all the forces acting on the object is 0, it means if an object is at rest, then that remains at rest. If an object is in motion, that remains in motion. Okay, means there is no change in the state of motion of an object whenever a balanced force acts on an object. So first effect, and that is it will not we will study the different effects of balanced force. So we have seen that is as the net resultant of forces is 0, it means it will not change the state of motion of an object. Means you can't bring an object from motion to rest and from rest to motion. Similarly, as there is no change in the state of motion, it means there is no change in direction of motion and in the speed of a moving object. But if you will consider an object like I have taken this balloon, and if you apply a balanced force on this balloon, I have applied same force from both the sides, and you can see that is there is change in shape and size of the balloon. So what is the effect produced by the balanced force? That is it can change shape, it can change shape and size of an object. Okay, so the net effect of balanced force is only one, that is it can change the shape and size of object, but it can't change the state of motion, it can't change the direction of motion, and it can't change the speed of an object. Now let us move towards the next type of force, that is the unbalanced force. For this, we are having an object and the two forces F1 and F2 are acting on this object on the same side. Now if you will find the net resultant of these forces, then F, which is the net resultant force acting on this object, then F is equal to F1 plus F2, which is equal to 1 Newton plus 2 Newton, and the resultant comes out to be 3 Newton. It means that is these two forces are acting on the same direction. So what you will find, that is this object will move towards this direction. It means that is the as the net resultant is in this direction, so the object moves in this direction. It shows that, it concludes that is object always moves in the direction of in which we are having net resultant force is acting. To explain this, let us consider one more example. Suppose we are having an object, and on this object two forces are acting, that is F1, which is of 1 Newton, and second we are having, that is F2, let it be 3 Newton. Now if you will find the resultant of these two forces acting on the object, that is F1 is equal to F1 plus F2. If you will put the values of these forces, so F1 is value is 1 Newton with plus sign, plus what sign we will take with the 3 Newton, it is minus 3. Why it is minus 3? Because it is opposite in direction to the F1 force. So I will put minus sign, negative sign over here. So it's minus 3 Newton, and when you will simply apply the mathematics, what you will get, it is minus 2 Newton. Minus 2 Newton, why minus sign is there? Because the 3 is bigger than this 1 Newton. Now As the net resultant, or as this force is bigger than this force, then in which direction the object will move? The object will move in the direction of higher force. Means there is movement in this box, in this object, in this direction, the direction in which this the larger force is acting. Now the various effects of unbalanced force. Now this matchbox is in rest position, and when I apply the unbalanced force, that is force from one side, then it comes into motion, and if it is in motion, I apply the force, it may comes into rest. Okay, and if it is initially moving towards this side and I have applied more force from second side, then its direction changes. Initially it is going towards this side, and when I apply more force from the other side, then it starts moving towards this side. So it can change the direction of motion. It can also increase, it can also change the speed of an object. Okay, and the third is shape and size. So if you will apply unbalanced force on an object, then it may change shape and size of the object. So these are the various effects which are produced by the unbalanced force. From different activities, it is clear that is in balanced force, the net resultant of all the forces which are acting on the object at the same time, it always comes out to be 0, whereas the net resultant of all the forces acting on an object in case of unbalanced force is not equal to 0. Means the net resultant in unbalanced forces always comes out to a non-zero number. Now the various effect in balanced force, there is only change in shape and size of an object, whereas in unbalanced force there may be change in the state of motion, that is object may come from rest to motion, motion to rest. It can also change the direction of motion and speed of an object, and it can also change the shape and size of the object. I hope the different concepts will clear to you.